What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Danny the Bull, here to talk altcoins, the market. Bitcoin's at 107K. We got Bitcoin conference happening in Vegas. The Vice President of the United States was there speaking today. Ethereum's been on a nice little run, and hopefully our alts join them, and ETH is leading the way. So as always, a lot to talk about. We'll get into some updates on some projects like Mcade, Devve, Rio, and some others, and whatever you guys want to chat about. Let's see who we got up in here to start us off. Sam, good to see you, brother. He's a decent mint layer bag, expecting a minimum of $10. It's a big price target, brother. Yep, I still like mint layer. We'll talk about mint layer and see what they're up to today. Faceless Anon, what's going on, brother? Good to see you here. Only a matter of time till the rubber band breaks and our bags pump. Yeah, I do remain cautiously optimistic. I'll say optimistic, but this cycle has humbled a lot of people, and many of us have had expectations of when things were going to start moving. Alts, I think, bled out longer and harder than some expected, including myself. But I'm overall still optimistic about a big pump in this space, and perhaps getting to that $6 to $9 trillion total market cap. I think that everything is still in place, and it's just a matter of time. And perhaps who knows? Maybe you need some cooperation from the Fed. Little news out of that from them today as well that we'll get into, but definitely still thinking that we'll get a nice pump. Hopefully in the next month or so, we'll see some fireworks, but by the end of the year, I do think we'll have a nice little alt season. Let's see how it plays out. It's got to happen first, though. Penguin in the house. What's good, brother? Devve and Mcade both have 10 billion market cap potential. Love both of those. My two biggest projects. 10 billion might be a little rich specifically for Mcade as a gaming project, but I'd be happy with a billy on Mcade. But both of those have big potential. Love them both. We will be talking about them today. Timo in the house. What's good, brother? Cash Games. What's good, brother? How are you? Russ G. Redo. I didn't see that Resistance Dog is pumping today. I saw the partnership between Telegram and to get Grok in there. So that is bullish. I did not notice Rito. I'll take a look at that and see how it's doing. Good to see. Mcade always building. LFG, smash the like, people. Yes, smash the like. Subscribe to the channel. Mcade is always building and they had some alpha today that dropped. Integration into, I think it's called Foxaria or something like this. It's a gaming project on Base, a small gaming project that's kickstarted that integrates characters from meme projects, and they just integrated Max as a playable character. Max, of course, being the brand new mascot of Mcade. So that will be integrated into that gaming project. Good to see. The first of many, I'm sure, games that Max will be integrated into. And we got some more news coming on Mcade tomorrow, apparently. They teased something dropping tomorrow. We'll see what that is. Harish in the house. What's good, brother? Mateus, what's going on? So we'll get started. And Bitcoin is looking pretty good. 107,000 sitting at, holding up. And you've seen that. We've seen that 107, 108 is now flipping into an area of support, right? What once was resistance is now turning into support. And we touched 111 last week. I think that's the new high, right? 111.5. And what's wild is that there wasn't even euphoria in the market. It was kind of just shrugged off, right? And Bitcoin has higher to go. I think, maybe we get to 120-ish in the weeks ahead before the next pullback and cool down. But Bitcoin has some room to go, and you're just seeing nothing but, more and more bullish news, and just the whole thing coming together for Bitcoin and this whole crypto space. From a fundamental standpoint, I know alts have been hit hard, and it hasn't gone according to, I guess the plans that many have had thus far, right, in terms of when alts would run. But from a fundamental level or a perspective, the space is in the best place that it's been in it forever, right? You've got Trump media raising $2.5 billion. That's his, his company is raising $2.5 billion to buy crypto. Now, it says here in Bitcoin, I don't think that it's just Bitcoin. From what I read, it was to purchase different crypto assets, right? And Trump has been, divisive, I would say. He signed the executive orders and did right in many ways by the crypto space, but then he also launched his meme coin, which was kind of a weird thing, and there's a bit of a conflict of interest that people are upset about. But ultimately, you've got someone in office who is, his company is purchasing billions of dollars in crypto, and he is pushing forward pro crypto, initiatives, legislation, etc. And there's the Satoshi white paper is now hanging in the Oval Office in the White House. So from a fundamental level, the space has never been more on track for mass adoption. So this is, they're doing a raise, selling 115 million shares to raise money for the purchase of various crypto currencies. You've got GameStop initiating a Bitcoin buying plan worth $500 million, right? So years ago, what was the thinking? The thinking was that Bitcoin would be on balance sheets of major corporations. Bitcoin would be adopted into 401ks. Bitcoin would be adopted by nations. And we're seeing all of that take place live in front of us, right? In live time. So GameStop, the latest company to get into the Bitcoin game. You've got the SEC, I think it was the SEC, reversing its actions on or its advisory on 401k and Bitcoin, right? Saying that they had warned against Bitcoin adoption into 401k plans. I think it was yesterday where they reversed that. And so they're undoing everything that Gensler and his cronies were doing. And soon you're going to see Bitcoin adopted into pension plans. All right. So Bitcoin has never been more on track. And I do think we're moving towards, that for certain asset classes within crypto, like real world assets, tokenization of everything. You've got this it here. Robinhood proposes SEC rules for tokenized real world assets. So Robinhood submitted a 42-page proposal to the SEC for a national framework to regulate tokenized real-world assets. They are moving towards 24/7 trading, around the seven days a week, 24/7, and as are others, like, wait for it, NASDAQ, which I think has big implications for Devve, for anyone that's into Devve. The rumor for months has been that they are partnered with NASDAQ, right? They have a big partnership with what they say is the largest traditional finance exchange. That, in my opinion, is NASDAQ. And that hasn't been released yet because they're waiting on licenses to come through. All right, there'll be a joint announcement. The papers are signed. There will be a joint announcement between Devve and whoever their partner is whenever the licenses come through. Here we have the NASDAQ meeting with the SEC task force to discuss securities tokenization. All right, we know that NASDAQ in one of their quarterly meetings disclosed that they're looking at blockchains, and they've partnered with blockchains to, take their platform to the next level, which would be tokenization 24/7. So they met with the SEC, another step in the right direction. You've got the Genius Act, which is bringing regulation to stable coins, which will unleash the power of stable coins everywhere. Soon we're going to get to a point where Apple is integrating crypto into their payment system, where Amazon Prime is integrating crypto into their payment system. It starts with stables. It will extend to other crypto like Bitcoin and things like this. And it's all starting to take shape piece by piece, block by block. And alts have been beaten down, but in my opinion, we've never been in a better place fundamentally as a space. So we'll see how it plays out the rest of this year, but things are looking like they're heading in the right direction. In other news, we've got something to watch for. An inflation report coming out on Friday, PCE core inflation, which is the preferred measure of the Fed's preferred measure of inflation. Last month we had a positive reading. I think core inflation was at 2.3%, and it's likely that it rose 2.2%. So that'll be two great readings back to back in a row. Today, the Fed released their minutes from their May meeting, and they said that they're looking at 1 to 2 rate cuts by the end of the year. So we'll see how it all takes shape. I think we all know that the tariffs are making them more hesitant. But once markets get more risk on, I think all the pieces will be in place. You've got the regulation coming. You've got companies adopting, buying Bitcoin, adding it to the balance sheet. This week, you've got FTX distributing more than $5 billion. I think this is in USDT and stables. They are reimbursing more than $5 billion on May 30th. So will that juice the market? We'll see how much of that flows back into assets. But this is after 2.5 years of filing bankruptcy. FTX is moving forward with repaying users who have not had access to their funds. So let's see if it has any impact on the market. We'll see how much of that flows back into assets. But good news, across the board. And, Bitcoin has been very solid on an uptrend. It's kind of been a leading indicator of the market. It dropped, when Bitcoin pulled back and alts pulled back harder, it did so ahead of the stock market. The stock market kind of followed suit. And it also recovered a bit faster, right? It held down here in the 80 to 77 while the stock market continued to fall. And then it started recovering a bit ahead of the stock market. So it's kind of like been a leading indicator. We'll see how it plays out, but it looks primed to continue to move up. Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin over the last month, up 46%, nice, almost 50%, coming up against some resistance in that $2,700 range. But once it breaks through 27, we're looking 28 and then 3,000. So Ethereum's looking healthier, and hopefully Ethereum leads the way to alt season. But time will tell, and we'll see. Let's see what we got here in the chat. Walshy in the house. Hope you and your family are good, bro. Let's go Medicaid. Yeah, let's go. M2 money supplies keep rising, so that's bullish too. Yes, M2 money supply. They're printing all over the world. You know, they're turning the money printers back on, and the United States is going to be forced to do so as well. You see Elon talking about the big, beautiful bill. So this is the bill that was proposed, and I think that passed, which is an increase in. It's an increase, raising of the debt level, the debt ceiling, and an increase in spending. And Elon criticized it. And what does that tell you? It tells you that they're not going to stop spending money, right? And the only way to, to get out of the hole that they're digging is to keep printing money and to keep debasing currency. And that's what fuels, right? Risk assets and the whole market to keep running. So M2 money supply keeps rising. It won't be long before QT ends, and then there'll be some form of money printing and injection and easing of monetary policy, and we'll see what happens. But I think that everything will come together by the end of the year. And you guys mentioning in Medicaid, let's pull it up. Medicaid had, most gaming projects have been not performing well. I looked at NACA, which is kind of like the comparison to Mcade, right? I mean, they have like the, bunch of mini games. They're integrated into Telegram. NACA came out last cycle, but they've been caught up by Medicaid's caught up to them. And look at NACA has not, I guess it came back from its bottom of 35 cents, went back up to 50 cents, but it gave it right back. It's right back down to its lows. It's not recovered. If you look at the charts of most gaming projects, GameSwift was one that I liked. The chart's not recovered. Playable Games, another Web3 gaming project that performed well. The last month is not recovered. But Mcade has outperformed them all. Market cap's at 30 million. It's catching up to NACA. It's going to pass NACA. I sold all my NACA, and I think Mcade might be the only gaming project that I'm holding. For good reason. I think that they tick all the boxes, and the leadership just continues to over deliver. So they have max. Let's pull up some Mcade news. So this is what I was referencing earlier. Mcade came out with their mascot Max, which I think was a great idea. It creates a mascot for a project. It gives it a face, a character that can be integrated into games. They can create NFTs around it. A whole bunch of content can be created around it and has been created around it. So Foxeria announced today, and this is it's a good little project that started up on Base, a partnership with Mcade incorporating Max. Mcade also said something dropping tomorrow. Noti's on. Who's ready? Russ has been bull posting and teasing. It's a bit of a tease, isn't he, that Russ? Let's pull up Russ's. Here, my bad. Let's pull up Russ's. There were a couple of tweets that he had put out here. On top of everything else, we're building in 2025. One of our big focuses is expanding our IP. Bigger IP equals more attention, equals more holders of Medicaid, and more players discovering Medicaid. Max is just the start of this process. It's been a real education for us all. So when he says bigger IP, I wonder if that's outside IP or more original IP that they'll be creating. We'll see. Maybe that's the announcement tomorrow. This is also, I like this. I'm really pleased to be working with 9F Studio Art on this very important growth phase and to bring Max and Medicaid to as many people as possible. So this is a marketing aid, content creative studio, and they'll be producing content. So they've just not stopped. They're constantly doing things. Super bullish on Mcade. Someone mentioned it going to the billions. I think it could hit $1 billion. We'll see what happens, but they're partnered with Coinbase. And they have so many catalysts ahead of them, like the app chain coming out. Clubcade came out recently, which is kind of like part of their marketing plan. It's it's an extension of their ambassador program. So they just keep on putting one foot in front of the other and continue to build. Do you still believe in the 4-year cycle? You think the U.S. government would allow Bitcoin to go down 70%? It's a good question. I've gone back and forth on this, on the 4-year cycle. I think that Bitcoin will trend with the traditional market. I think if the stock market goes on a 2 or 3 year tear, I expect Bitcoin to follow suit. So in that sense, yeah, I do kind of think that the 4-year cycle may be, a thing of the past. But I don't marry any idea. We'll see. We'll know in hindsight. This cycle has definitely been a bit different from the beginning, right? Where Bitcoin hit a new all-time high before the halving. And so, it's been different. And we have the other thing that I think sometimes we put too much emphasis on previous cycles, and maybe that's part of where we need to shift. This is a very young space, and really alts have only had 2 previous cycles, and that's 2017 and 2021. 2013 had very few coins, and they were all, none of them are here now. When did Litecoin come out? But anyway, 2017 was really the first cycle that we saw alts come in. And so as the space matures, that 4-year cycle's not going to be a thing anymore. And I think when the market gets risk on, you'll see alts run. 4 years ago in 2021, people talk about this cycle being different, right? It has been. We haven't had alts run. Last cycle, there were different phases of alts running, right? They ran up into May, from February into May, June, and then they sold off. And then they came back at the end of the year. So you had these mini alt seasons before the real alt season that came towards the end. This cycle has been weird, right? You had like different sectors running at different times. You had AI running, then you had like AI agents. You had meme coins that just got cheated, right? Some of them maintained, but a lot of them cheated. 90% of them are dead. So it's been a bit different. But what's also been different is that the stock market run, when the stock market was running from 2022 through, I guess recently, everyone was saying that it wasn't a real bull market because it was the Magnificent Seven carrying the whole stock market. So it was a very selective run. And that is something that kind of reminds me of this crypto market, right? You've had a handful of coins, XRP, SUI, Solana. Ethereum has underperformed. It had a run up to 4K, but I think it everyone would agree that it's underperformed the expectation. You've had a kind of a selective run here. So my point is, I think that what's going to happen in this crypto space is that there are times when risk assets run hard, and that's in the stock market also. I think when that happens, the highest risk assets will fly, and that being, the coins that we accumulate. If you look back, remember last cycle in the stock market in 2021, it was like SPAC season, right? All these SPACs were coming out. You had all these, anything that Cathie Wood mentioned would run, and they were performing like crypto coins, right? So I remember one called Skills, which was I don't know if it's play to earn, but it's a mobile app, and that did like a 20x because Cathie Wood mentioned it and she added it to her new ETF. And so when risk assets run, they're going to run, and I think crypto is going to follow that model moving forward. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe the U.S. government will want Bitcoin to go down 70% so they can accumulate, right? Amazon stock and Apple stock and Tesla stock have all corrected heavily, even being at, multi-trillion-dollar market caps. Gold has still corrected. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin still be volatile to the downside. Not as volatile, as in the past, but I do think it'll have its big corrections. MLC performs nicely, nice gaming project. Yeah, I think you mentioned MLC last time, and when I streamed with Ron, and we looked at it, and that chart looks like Mcade's chart, right? It looks good, especially for a gaming project. And I believe, didn't Alex Becker tweet about this, or isn't he supporting this? Sometimes that's all that you need for a small coin, is someone who has that, those eyeballs on him to get a project up and going. And that was evident with Miria, which I owned, and I made some money on Miria. Let's look at Miria. Miria's had a little bit of a comeback here, but Miria got all the way to $150 million market cap. This is when gaming projects were really lifting off in the good old days. We had a little alt season, end of 23 and leading into 2024. So Miria got to like $150 million market cap without any games coming to market, strictly off of comparisons to Gala and mostly, I think, Becker and Elio Trades, I think, also pushing it. So sometimes in crypto, that's all you need. But speaking of Becker, he also tweeted about Astra AI, which is something that I've talked about. I bought Astra AI way back, a while back. It was cheap. It was under $1 million market cap, I think. I took profits on it. It's one I wish that I held, but I rotated. But I did buy some back on a nice dip in the dollar range. But this is at $2.28, $20 million market cap. If Becker continues to push it, I can see Astra AI, and this team is consistently, expanded their ecosystem, and they're into like banking and things like that. They have a nice ambassador program. I'm not a part of it, but I know that they're working with Kohl's on marketing. They have a quarterly buyback program. I want to say it's like they raised a couple $1 million and they're putting it back into the chart on a quarterly basis. So Astra AI is something that I bought back in this range. If it pulls back, because I don't like to buy near the top, local top. I'll be fine if it continues to go. But if it pulls back, it's something that I would probably add a little to. Not a ton of liquidity, so it's pretty volatile. And Becker also responded and acknowledged Mcade, which was nice to see also. So we'll see if he continues on that path. Hoping for a big correction to stack up for next bull. Yeah, I mean, that's my plan, is to make a lot of money in alts and then rotate into Bitcoin. We'll see how it plays out. I think it will work out, but we'll see how it plays out. It's got to happen first. Other news, Devve is another one talked about before that I think could really run and run hard. I like the RWA. I know that AI is, leading the pack in terms of narrative, but I think the biggest use case for crypto would be in, RWA. Tokenization of everything, I think, is coming. Real estate, securities, stocks are all going to be traded on the blockchain. It's a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. So much of crypto is vaporware and smoke and mirrors and bullshit, but RWA stuff is, a real use case. So if Devve announces that partnership with NASDAQ, I can't see it staying where it's at, which is at a $47 million market cap. Here's Devve sitting on support here in the 50-cent range. So as long as it holds here, if it breaks down, I think it can get into the high 30s. But it's been holding up in this, 52 cent, 51 cent range. We'll see what happens. But I think it can absolutely send. And I'm hoping, because it's my second biggest bag behind Mcade. But they recently partnered with a bank in France, and I think their guys are over at in Vegas. So they're always networking. They're kind of like Russ in that sense. They were in Dubai for the token. What is that? Token 49 or whatever. They're everywhere. My other favorite RWA play is Relio Network, which was really beaten down. I started buying this at 11 cents, accumulated on the way up, accumulated at the bottom again. I bought at 15 cents. It's back up to 31 cents. And these guys have been building since last cycle. What I like about them is that they came out of there. They started the business in New York. So Relio Network is run out of New York, which has the toughest. I don't know why anyone would start out of New York, but I guess this is where they're based out of, and they're real estate guys, and they have connections. New York has the hardest regulations. So the fact that they got, that they are operating out of New York says something. Now they've got their app coming out. The Freehold wallet is dropping on July 1st. It's something to watch. Here it is. So this is a multi-chain DeFi wallet app built on Relio's blockchain infrastructure. It's going to be available in the App Store. It's going to allow people to tokenize anything. So people will be able to, and now that you're getting regulation coming, and that stuff will be easier for companies and corporations to do, it's going to happen. All right. So through the app, anyone can tokenize anything. From what I was reading, people can even like tokenize sneaker collections and things like that. But this is a really strong community. It's one of the most talked, when you look on crypto Twitter, Rio is one of the tickers that comes up the most. Rect Capital, which is a really big platform, does market updates on them. I think Rio could really send its all-time high of $4, local high this cycle of about $3, which would be a 10x from where we're at. But I can see this getting to billions if, you know, if they push the right buttons. They're also into like the metaverse stuff, which I guess that was a thing last cycle. And I don't know if they definitely started that last cycle. I don't know if they were starting over. Is that something that they would still do? Not sure. But they're also tokenizing, digital real estate and interconnecting physical and virtual realities. So I really like this project, and I'm super bullish on RWA. I think that it's going to send, and I think that it should send because it's got a real use case, and 99% of crypto doesn't. Yes, sir. Chuck has had a nice run. Let's pull it up. Here we go. It's our boy Chuck. Since, let's see, early May. So May 8th, from May 8th on, it's been a solid 3 weeks of uptrend for Chuck, up over 100% in that time. Really good to see. Super strong community. And new burn lottery starting today. Just burned 2.8 million tokens, and which takes it to, I think, 4% of total supply has been burnt from the last burn lottery, 2.8 million tokens. This burn lottery, Ron put out a tweet saying that the team will match the burn again. So should be able to burn another million Chuck tokens, but hopefully we get a nice base meme coin season, and I would think that Chuck would benefit greatly from that. Our boy Chuck is doing quite well, brother. Harish added some Devve today. Nice. Yeah, I think it's a good price. I would add Devve, but I have a lot of it, so I'm just kind of like building around and adding some other stuff. A couple streams ago, Harish asked me what I'm adding, and I said nothing, but I've since added some stuff. Because you're never really done, are you? Right? It's like The Godfather 3, and Michael says they pull you back in. I thought I was done packing my bags, but I've added some hash AI on a nice dip. Another one I bought was Astra, which I talked about, which is connected to the Futureverse, which I like a lot. And Astra is kind of like, I discovered them when I was looking into AI agents. And I liked them because I noticed that Van Eck was talking about them. And then I looked at the technology and the platform that they're building over there in Futureverse, and I liked it a lot. They have a good funding. It's real tech they're building, a real metaverse. I sold it because they're migrating. So Astra is migrating to Think token. And when they announced it, I just knew that it was going to not be well received. So I sold all my Astra because I knew like the way that they rolled it out, it didn't look smooth. The communication wasn't good. The price absolutely tanked. But now they're going to be migrating to Think, which is their new token. And Think is going to power the Think agents inside of Futureverse. And if you're not familiar, I would look into it. Futureverse just acquired Candy and all their IP that includes bat cowls and everything that Candy Digital had. So MLB, Netflix licenses, DC Comics, they're all heading into the Futureverse ecosystem. What's dope about the ecosystem is that people will be able to take their NFTs and transform them into playable avatars. So they've partnered with I can't find it. These are their games. They partnered with some NFT projects already. So if you have a unique, let's say if they partnered with Bored Ape Yacht Club, if you have a unique Bored Ape, you'll be able to use it as a playable game in the metaverse, as a playable character avatar. And there are rumors that they're going to partner with Bored Ape. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of what people are like, connecting dots. We'll see what happens. But I can see a lot of hype coming into Futureverse. And I wanted a piece of Think Token. So I bought back into Asto, and then I'm gonna connect it to Root Network and then get my share of Think Tokens. I got a couple of supers here. God's Entry, what's good, brother? Old friend of the channel. Virtuals, thank you for the $20 super chat. Virtuals still has juice. Absolutely. Virtuals came back strong. Virtuals had up 64% over the last month. You look at the chart. Virtuals is strong. I think Virtuals will continue to be strong, leading the way in the AI agent narrative. And if this market full sends is going to get to billions, I think at an all-time high of about $3 billion market cap, it's at 1.5 billion again. So it's one of the ones that really has held up quite strong. I like Virtuals a lot. I don't own it, but I like it. Let's check out the website. So they continue to launch their agents. There's a lot of activity on there. And I think there was a Virgin airdrop, fair launch for all Virgins, that I saw. Yeah. I'm super bullish on Virtuals. God's Entry has targets of $12.17. Let's see, $12, $17, and $24. You hit 461. I'm trying to think of the market cap for $12 would be a 3x. If you had $9 billion, $9 billion market cap, I can see it getting past that in a nice bull run. And yeah, Hash AI is also one that I hold. And I think Hash AI is going to continue to send, like I said before, just off the sheer fact of Becker pushing it. I'm a buyer of Hash AI on pullbacks. And hopefully we get another pullback. I would buy some more and accumulate. Good to see you, God's Entry, brother. Hope you're doing well. Harish likes Virtuals, one of the few alts doing well. How's Griffin doing? I mean, it bounced back 30%. I mean, it bounced back decent, but pulled back. But Virtuals is definitely leading the way on that narrative. And I do think that AI agents are going to continue to perform. I don't think that narrative is going anywhere. NVIDIA had its earnings today, I think. I wonder how that went. But, NVIDIA is continuing to talk about agents. Gemini, which is Google's AI platform, now has something called GEMS, where people can train agents to run. So this is just part of the future that people are starting to understand. And It's good to have exposure. Super from Elmer Fudd. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for your support. Harish likes those targets. You got into virtuals at a $400 million market cap, still holding. Yeah. And, bigger market cap plays are a good way to balance out. A lot of us are looking at small caps, but, bigger market cap plays can also give you, safer gains. All right, let me see what else we got here. Trying to think of what else. Let me check my notes. All right. No, it's Futureverse. That's Chucky. I think that's everything that I had planned to talk about. I don't know if you guys have any other questions, comments, things that you want to discuss. If not, I'm going to wrap this up soon. But let's see how this market shapes up. And if Ethereum leads us back to the promised land, that's one of the things that I'm watching is Ethereum. Let's see how it performs. I think, ETH staking, laws changing could really propel it. A lot of people have written ETH off. I would not write ETH off. I still think ETH is going to make a new all-time high this cycle. And a lot of things are built on ETH and tied to ETH, including Chuck. So ETH is going to juice the market some. Hopefully gets back over 3K in the next week or so, and we get a nice alt season to follow. TET, you know what, man? I've turned bearish on TET, and anything can, it's crypto, so, things can come back. It hasn't even seen a full cycle yet, so it's not necessarily. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about, Mint Layer. I want to talk about Mint Layer some more. The chart on TET looks like shit, right? It's not the only one. There are a bunch of good projects that have shit-looking charts. But I got out of it at $4 because of things that I saw that I didn't like around the team. I have not been following them. I know that they added like USD into their soft node technology. But I think what haunts them is the trust issues. I think that's hard to come back from, but we'll see what happens. I don't think that they're dead, but it's down. And I think it'll be a struggle to regain some trust and climb back up. Mint Layer is also one that's down. And the chart looks kind of similar, and they're kind of in very similar niches, right? They're both like Bitcoin, DeFi, and building on Bitcoin. Mint Layer also is into like the RWA space, which I like. Mint Layer, though, I don't think the trust issues that exist with Tectum. But Mint Layer had a setback in their DEX fell through. They were working with Atomic, and they're supposed to have a DEX that was coming out, and that got pushed back. There was going to be an airdrop for Mint Layer holders. That got pushed back. I think that on the development side, people who've been holding the token haven't seen some of the development they wanted to see, but I think that's about to change. I know that Enrico, the founder, is in the Telegram. He hinted at it. So I think that in the next week or so, you're going to see them putting out some things that show that they've been working and building and developing products for Bitcoin to give it more of a use case that tap into Bitcoin's liquidity. Because the thing about Bitcoin is, people are sitting on it and it just sits there, right? You can't earn, that people aren't earning yield off it or putting it to use. It's just sitting in cold storage. Mint Layer wants to change that. So we'll see in the next week or so. I think we're going to see Mint Layer coming out with some stuff. I think it's at a good price, $5 million market cap. I added Mint Layer. I added more Mint Layer yesterday, and I have a good bag of it. Let's look at Redo. Look at that straight line up. Nice pump on the daily, up 50%. $9 million market cap. I was in Redo, Resistance Dog, Redo, Resistance Dog. This is one that I was in. I let go of when I consolidated into my top picks, but it's a good meme coin. It's the official unofficial meme coin of Telegram, of Ton Network. They have their app. It saw a nice spike when what's his name, Pavel, got arrested in France, right? And it kind of Resistance Dog, free speech, and his arrest kind of gave it a nice narrative. I thought that would be a good narrative for it to keep running, but it sold off pretty hard. This is one of Crash's Clay's 5 picks. He's got a good reach. Of his 5 picks, I think only really Brett has, held up. He also had picked one on what's that? Justin Sun's blockchain. I forget, Tron. But that was nonsense. I think that's a Cabal coin. So a lot of his picks haven't really worked out. I like Resistance Dog. I still like it. I think it's worthwhile if you're into meme coins. I don't know what the only thing that would concern me about it is Ton Network. Telegram continues to gain traction, and now they've integrated Grok, which is a good thing. But let's see. Ton Network, Ton Coin is at a $8 billion market cap. I think, and Redo is also tied to Ton, it's paired with it. So I think part of its success will be based on Ton Coin and how well this does. And if it does well and can get to a $40 to $50 billion market cap, I think that bodes well for Resistance Dog. But it's one that I like. I'm glad that it popped. Hopefully this doesn't sell off and it's able to hold this level. Let's see what else we got. WLFI bought in pre-sale, building on their US. What's WLFI again? Oh yeah, WorldCoin, of course, Liberty Financial. Where's the real ticker? Is it officially trading? World Liberty Financial, it's Trump's organization. Sui had the Cetus attack. I think it had crossed. It was back over $5, was it? Or not quite. But Sui's a big winner this cycle. If you're looking for a bigger cap, I wonder if it can touch. I think Solana got to 90 billion last cycle. I don't know if it'll get that high. But I think it's got plenty of room to go up. I bought a big bag of Sui for my father-in-law at like $2. He came in as a buyer at a good time. Not the perfect time, but at a good time. And I was able to buy him Sui pretty cheap. Um, the Sui ecosystem continues to grow. The wallet is solid. I use that. They've got some memes on there like Lofi, which is kind of a cabal coin, but that's good and bad. Um, it's bad if it's a bad cabal, I guess, but Eisenhower is the dev. And I say it's a cabal coin, I just mean that um, it's kind of like I think a lot of aloe was given to Coles, right? You got Jake Gagan in there, you've got Rodney in there. I want to say Jules, and a bunch of guys, a lot of people, a lot of Coles are in on Lofi. I think Enoch. So all these guys are on crypto Twitter pushing it, right? So I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that they got aloe, right? And that they were given tokens. So in that sense, it's kind of like a cabal coin, but the chart, it's come back it's at $47 million market cap. I think it got as high as like 300 million. Went to 21 cents. So what I was saying was the cabal thing. If they could dump people could dump the price, right? If they have a large allocation, but if they hold, like Brett is known to have a small group of people with a very large portion of the supply, they've propped up the price. And the other thing is that they have access to people and money and things like that. So Lofi has come back pretty well. And if they can continue to, I can see Lofi getting back into the hundreds of millions. Q3 on World Liberty. Peace, Timo. But Lofi, I know there's another coin out in there called Squirts or something, which I don't like. But you're seeing a meme culture build in Sui. You see AI projects build on Sui. So, if you remember back to Solana last cycle, I don't remember much outside of Bonk building on top of Solana, right? It was, I guess it's still in beta, but there wasn't much being built on Solana. I think in terms of development, it's a little further ahead in time in terms of activity on top of it. We'll see. Arweave. I'm not really into. I've looked at Arweave, but I don't know much about it. Over the last month, it's been stable here. All-time high of $46. So it had a big market cap. Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with Arweave. Yeah, I like that's so, meme coins are good and bad, right? I mean, it's annoying when there are so many coins that come out that just pump and dump and people chase them and rotate profits and things like that. That's the annoying part of meme coins, is that there's an overabundance of them. There are a lot of scammy ones, rug pulls. So I don't like that aspect of it. But they're also they're part of the culture, right? And there are a bunch of good ones. And I think that they're good for crypto, right? Because they're community based and they're part of the fun, kind of wacky side of crypto that people like. And they draw in retail, like you say. So they're good and bad for the space, I think, but you want to see memes on a chain, right? Because it shows that people are using it and that it attracts people. So, when Bonk was put on the Solana Saga phone, you saw that was kind of like a big expansion for Solana and eyes, free marketing, right? When they came out with their phone and Bonk was on it, and then the price of Bonk went up, and then you couldn't, then the phone sold out, and then it was selling on eBay for like 3x the price. I remember Solana Saga phone was selling for like 3K or $2,000 just because people wanted the Bonk that was on there and the other free stuff that was being released. So there's a lot of marketing and good things that can come about to help a chain grow through the meme space. So it's good to see that happening on Sui. Yes, that's what it is. Decentralized storage solution, which is important. Yeah, that's an absolute real use case. So yeah, there are a lot of projects that are really building and really partnering and really solving problems. And I think those are going to succeed long term, right? And we talk about 4-year cycles. I think eventually 4-year cycles go away, and we see more and more real projects stick around and become, multi-billion-dollar market caps, and get into the $100 billion club, right? Real projects that are doing real work and solving problems. So we'll see how it plays out this cycle. I'm hopeful. What I'd love to see is Ethereum break 2,800, get back over 3K, lead alts back, get a nice alt pump, and then a little cool off before we get real fireworks end of the year. That's how I'd like to see things play out. Cautiously optimistic. We'll see how it works out. Like I said earlier, the fundamentals are all in place and the pieces are in place. It's just a matter of what happens. I want to thank everyone for coming through. It's been about an hour. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.